Blog Talk Radio.
You're listening to Critical Mass Radio. Now, it's our turn.
CMR Critical Mass Radio in association with We Are Change Manchester and Freedom Northwest. Please note the views and opinions expressed by the hosts on this show are not necessarily the views held by the station. CMR is for people who want answers, because now it's our turn.
Okay, the all-important disclaimer out of the way, yeah? Okay, I've got a few papers here. If you hear a bit of paper shuffling, don't worry about it, because I'm bodging a show together, so no problem. Yeah, the opening song there was Chris Brown with Don't Wake Me Up, so, yeah, that's quite a relevant song, isn't it? Let's hope that doesn't become the anthem of the unawakened masses. So, yeah, please wake up. I'm appealing to those people now. Just wake up, just have a look at something. You know it's not right, it doesn't feel right, nothing feels right. It takes about 10 minutes research. Most people have got computers or Android phones or just from talking to people. I think most of us, if you don't know there's something wrong now, if you're living in Britain today or anywhere, America or wherever, if you cannot feel that the system in place is not working and you don't feel that there's something wrong, then I suggest you check your pulse. Not for the speed or tempo of it, just to check that you have actually got one. Because how can you be living today and not know there's something wrong? So please wake up if you can. I'm not going to call you sheeple. Just try and become aware, chat to people, something will happen, you will wake up. But let's get it sooner rather than later. Right, so I'm going to play another song now. I'll tell you what I did last week. I played a song that nobody could guess who it was. Even Philip Makes Movies, super duper pop rock champion, couldn't guess it, which is good because I would have married him. I think that was a prize, so I'm glad he didn't.
Good day, public. We are anonymous. Operation Jubilee, 5th of November, 2012. Gather peacefully at the Parliament Building, London, to declare the true Jubilee. Cancel all debt. Stop war. Redistribute the land and eliminate poverty.
It's time.
With enough faith, united together we can move a mountain. It's going to take all of us. We are all anonymous. It's time to stand up for yourself, your family and your country. Show up and count yourself in the 99% anonymous millions. There can be no forgiveness without true and full repentance. If you do not repent, we cannot forgive. We do not forget. Expect us.
Great stuff, yeah, that was the anonymous Operation Jubilee, wasn't it? Yeah, and before the jingle it was Steven Seagal there. Yeah, would have thought Steven Seagal, yeah, actor, martial arts expert and all that skill that I mentioned last week, and bit of a cheesy song, but alright, isn't it? He's not bad, is he? He's a mean guitarist. I think I'll play, he's better on blues, so I think I'll play another blues track next week. Okay, right, so it looks like my guest is not going to be available here. He may pop up later, so I'm going to carry on the theme of what I've been doing, but slightly different tonight. What I thought I'd do is, and I've just dug some paperwork out. I'm going to have to, hang on, blow the dust off it. This is something I did about 5 years ago, perhaps a bit less, perhaps about 4.5 years ago. And it's running along the theme of knowing your rights, basically. And we've all got rights. As we know, we're born with inherent rights. The rights that a baby has. From when a baby's born, he needs protection, warmth, light, all sorts, food, water, and slowly but surely I don't know what to call them, so I'll call them the powers that be, slowly extract those rights away from you. In fact, we give them up, really, and we're tricked into it. But the very thing that a newborn baby needs, we all need all the way through our lives. We never stop needing these rights, or sorry, not needing these rights. We never stopped. They are our rights by birthright, and we give them away, or we have to pay a fortune for them with this false economy, this fiat bloody paper currency. So we're born with inherent natural rights, and we never lose them. And so the thing that I've always sort of not taught myself to do, but realised from a long time ago. I only got into this law stuff and the money stuff about 5 years ago, but from being a real small kid, that everyone's got rights, and we don't have to. We shouldn't be having to protect them, and they can't be taken away. We're just giving them up. So that's the basis I'm coming from, and people that know me by now, or have seen the talk, or have heard the show, they know I do act from a standpoint of honour. And it might sound like, well, you don't pay anything. That's not very honourable, but it is, because I don't refuse to pay. I've always said this. I never refuse to pay. I accept that I may owe something, but all I say to the other side, who's putting any sort of demand on me, and it might not be money, it might be from, a cop or a judge or whatever. All I say to the other side, who's putting some sort of demand on me, especially financial, is no problem, just prove that I owe it you, and I'll pay it. And they never do. They never can prove that I owe it them, because we don't. Anyway, so what I thought I'd do on this section is, I've had a lot of trouble over the last 5 years through my own fault, because I can sometimes be a bit of a knob. I've been arrested a few times, and it's not nice. And the only reason I get arrested for, and I tell you, I've never committed a crime, so I don't get arrested for that. I'm just looking down my list. In fact, how many times have I been arrested now? I don't know, 7, 8, 9 times. 9 times. I'm on first name terms. They all give me high fives when I go in. Oh, it's him again. Oh. They all love me. Well, they don't. They hate me, but they pretend to love me. So I'm kind of getting used to getting arrested now, and it's just part of the job, isn't it? But what I've realised is I keep getting arrested, and I learnt this about 5 years ago, and I thought, right, a lot of people need to know this. I only ever get arrested for not giving the police my details. That's all I ever get arrested for. And if there's been no crime established, you do not have to give your details at all. I say to the police officer, am I obliged to even speak to you? Well, you're not. You're not obliged at all to speak to anybody. So what they do is I stand on my rights. I'm just looking there, future solution. It is an occupational hazard. Future solution there in the chat room. You're right, it is an occupational hazard. And it don't get easier, mate, as you probably know yourself, because I've met you. But it's just part of the job, and it's got to be done. And I'd rather they're arresting me than somebody that perhaps, wouldn't be able to handle it and would be fearful. So, at no point do you have to even speak to a police officer. Now, I'm going to tell you how police operate. And this is not some sort of get-out clause so you can, cause harm or loss or anything and be clever with the police. This is purely for standing on your rights, the ones that are yours by birthright. So, a situation might arise that's either something to do with me or nothing to do with me, but I may be there, or I might be in my car at the side of the road, whatever. I know I've got my rights. I first say to the police officer, am I obliged to even speak to you? They'll come up with some statute or whatever. And then I say to them, has there been a crime committed with me involved, or have I witnessed some sort of crime? And it's always no, because there is no crime. I don't commit crimes. So I say, well, if there's no until you establish that there has been a crime committed, I refuse to give you any details, because there's no reason to. So this is when they get shirty, and this is why I always end up getting arrested. Well, not always, sometimes. So I just want to tell you how the police are trained, how they're taught to deal with us. Now, remember, we're supposed to live in what's called, if you go to court or whatever, it's supposed to be called habeas corpus. What that basically means is that you are innocent until proven guilty. Well, I'm living proof, and as we well know, you're not. We live in a system called corpus juris, which means you get dragged off and put in a cell and dragged to court, and instead of it being the other way around, we've then got to prove our innocence. That's not how it should be, and we want to get back to habeas corpus. So I'm just going to show you now how the police are trained to deal with you. And there's 3 stages, basically, to getting arrested. I should know, because I've been through it that many times. Okay, let's have a scenario. Not pick cars, because I'm sick of them. I'm always getting arrested for them. Yeah, imagine I'm stood in town, and in fact, did it happen in town? In fact, something did happen in town, but I didn't get arrested that time. Okay, hypothetical situation. I'm stood in town, there's something going off, and a couple of police officers come over, and they want to speak to me. Okay, the reason this, whenever a police officer speaks to you who is on duty, there's only right to remain silent. I'm just looking in the chat room again, exactly, mate. The reason a police officer will come over and speak to you when he's on duty, he'll come up and say, oh, are you alright, you had a nice day, or he'll make some sort of conversation. Well, Let me just tell you, no matter how nice he or she may seem, they're not making conversation. They're coming over to speak to you for a reason. Okay, no matter how nice they are out of the uniform, the police never switch off. And the reason they never switch off, they never have a day off when they're in uniform or out of uniform. The reason they never switch off is because criminals never switch off, do they? So they can't afford to. So I'm stood in town, I might be with some mates or something, 2 police officers come over, they start chatting to me. Okay, the reason they've come over and started chatting to me is not to tell me how great my clothes are or how big my nose is or anything. What they really want to say is they want to strike up a conversation, because the first stage is, it's called reasonable suspicion or reasonable articulable suspicion. What that means is they are suspicious about something. It could be anything. It could be my beard's too long. Nowadays it could be absolutely anything. I might have odd socks on or not smiling correctly. It can be anything, can't it? So they come up, they start talking to me. Now, they have to have a reasonable articulable suspicion, or reasonable suspicion for short. So let's have a look. What can we say? I've got pockets that are bulging with something. So we're near the shops. So their reasonable suspicion might be, oh, he looks a bit rough. He's not a shave. I wonder if he's a shoplifter. So they come over and start speaking. 99.999% of all arrests and convictions are done by people speaking. They incriminate themselves. Bear in mind, you have the right to remain silent. You don't have to speak at all. So first of all, they're going to start speaking. So that's stage 1. And what they're looking for is they're looking quickly to move to stage number 2. It's a process they have to follow. Now, reasonable articulable... I can't say that word, so I'll just call it reasonable suspicion. Reasonable suspicion is something that they've seen... it's something that they've used their 5 senses for. In other words, they've got to have seen something, heard you say something. For people who smoke weed, for instance, they could smell it. But they've got to have used the 5 senses to have reasonable suspicion. That's what is reasonable suspicion. So they've used the 5 senses. I look rough and my pockets are bulging, for instance. So what they want to do is they want to talk to me for me to incriminate myself just through conversation, so they can move to stage number 2. And stage number 2 is what's called probable cause. Now, until they move to stage number 2, probable cause, they cannot do a thing. So they quickly want to get there. So they're chatting away with you. They'll ask you where you work, or they'll ask you all sorts of things. But really, they're looking for an angle all the time. So until they move to probable cause, they can't do anything. So they're looking for probable cause. Probable cause is the middle one. It comes in 3 stages. You've got reasonable suspicion, number 2, probable cause, and then finally, number 3, the arrest. Now, at no point during all these 3 stages are you entitled to even speak to them, which I now know that. But let's say I don't know that. So my pockets are bulging, I'm at the shopping centre or it's a busy place, they start chatting to me, they want me to speak and incriminate myself, and then they want to move to probable cause. Again, probable cause, it's got to be something that they've witnessed themselves, or if somebody comes forward as an eyewitness, then that would be probable cause. But unless somebody's actually witnessing and saying that they've seen you do something, they've got to establish probable cause. Now let's say I don't know anything about it, I'm just stood there, I don't know anything about the law, I'm a normal Joe on the street, and what can I say? Let's say something falls out of my pocket from a shop. Okay, he's seen something, whoa, something brand new in a packet fell out. It could be, I don't know, an electric razor in a box, for instance. So they're looking for an angle, and what they'll say is they'll see it straight away. So they want to move to probable cause, because without that they can't jump straight to an arrest. So probable cause, they've seen something fall out of my pocket. They'll say, oh, have you just bought that? Now look at the answer I can give. I can either, if I don't know my rights, I can say yes. Now it's up to me to prove that I've just bought it. I can say no. If I've not bought it, then that opens a new gateway to, oh, if you've not bought it, where have you got it from? So all the time going to probable cause. I know it sounds crazy, but this is how these people are trained, and this is how these people think. So let's say it falls on the floor, I pick it up, and he says, have you just bought that? I'll say, well, I bought it earlier. He said, oh, right, where'd you get that from? And I name a shop. And then he may say, oh, right, only we've had a report from that shop. There's been a few shopliftings. Have you got a receipt for it? Now, if I can't find my receipt, which I'm always losing bits of paper. I mean, this is just a scenario. This works all sorts of things. If I can't find my receipt, boom, they've got probable cause straight away. So what I'm trying to say is, from probable cause, they're going to move to an arrest. Now they've got reasonable suspicion. Now they've got a probable cause. So when they've reached the stage of probable cause, they are then allowed to detain you on the spot. Now, a detainment can last for, I think it's up to 45 minutes. What they're looking for other things. If you think you've nicked one thing, then you may have nicked others. If your friends are with you, it might be a gang. If you look a bit scruffy, they'll try and smell you. Does he smoke weed? He's got his hands in his pockets. Is he concealing drugs? So once you get that little bit of probable cause, it opens the whole floodgates up. Now, if I don't speak to him at this point, and I have been speaking, then it looks even worse, doesn't it? It's like I'm trying to hide something. So, can you see how it progresses quickly through our speech? So, as soon as they hit probable cause, they can detain us on the spot. They're not allowed to move us around, but they can detain us at the side of the road, and then they can search without our consent. So they might conduct a search, detain us, and what they're looking for then is something substantial. So before they can move to an arrest, excuse me, got a bit of wind. Before they can move to an arrest, they've got to establish the first two stages. If they have got enough probable cause, it doesn't matter about people say, oh, it's false arrest or it's unlawful arrest. They don't care, these people. As long as it's backed up with some suspicion, some probable cause, they'll move to an arrest because they can always let you back out and apologise, can't they? So they may detain you on the spot, and then your rights are further gone, and all you've been doing is stood out in town with your mates, you might not have had a shave, you've dropped something out of your pocket, but what gets you there is you are speaking to them. And like I said, at no time during these three stages do you have to speak at all. So I've never spoken, I don't speak to police. I have at the side of the road, if I've been pulled over in my car, all I've said is about the vehicle. It's tax, test and insured, and that's it. I don't give them a name, and what I say to them is, am I obliged to even speak to you? And they always say yes, but the law is that you are not obliged until a crime has been established. So I say, the last thing I say is, has a crime been committed? Now, they can't tell you at that point, at stage number 1 and stage number 2, they can't tell you that a crime has been committed because it hasn't. All they've got is a suspicion, and they're looking for a cause, maybe a probable cause. Excuse me. So, at no stage do you have to speak. I've been approached, they're trying to get reasonable suspicion off me. I don't speak. Am I obliged to speak? I'm exercising my right to remain silent. Then they can't move to probable cause, then they can't move to an arrest. So that's how it did work. But they've got a sneaky thing now. So remember, at no three stages, even after the arrest, I've been inside prison, I've been interviewed. In fact, I've got 2 nice interview tapes here from a driving offence where they're great police interviews, because all you get is a copper on the other side speaking. They have to give you a copy of this, by the way. And I don't speak. I don't acknowledge, I don't nod, I don't do anything, I don't make eye contact. Really boring interview tapes for them, but they've got nothing. They've got absolutely nothing. All they've ever got is what comes out your mouth. Yeah, so, like I said, they go through this process, and if you don't give them any information, it makes them suspicious. So what have they brought out now? They've brought out something called PACE. I don't know if you're aware of this. I don't know how long it's been going. I think it's been going quite a long time. I've only ever been arrested, really, under PACE. So I thought, well, I'll have a look at PACE and see what it is. Now, on one hand, they're telling you that you have the right to remain silent at all times, so I exercise that right, and I tell them I'm exercising the right and I don't speak anymore. But then I've been looking at this PACE thing. And what PACE is, it stands for Police and Criminal Evidence Act. So, I've been pulled at the side of the road before, I won't give them any details, I'm not obliged to, I don't speak, and they arrest me under PACE. So what I'm looking for is solutions. How can we stop PACE happening? I found a way. I looked at what PACE is. Now it's an act, Police and Criminal Evidence Act. So it's a statute. So it's consensual, isn't it? It has to be because it's a statute. So I looked at the title, Police and Criminal Evidence Act. So the word criminal appears in the title of an act. Now an act deals with statutory offences. So it's not criminal, is it? So I once got arrested through PACE, realised it's Police and Criminal Evidence Act, went inside the police station, got as far as the little waiting room. There's a little waiting room, you go through the back of the cop shop, in the van, I didn't get cuffed or anything, through the cop shop, through the back entrance, ooh, that sounds dodgy, through the back entrance, into a small waiting room, and then the other side of this automatic glass, there's a desk sergeant. So I got as far as the waiting room. I've been arrested under pace. The desk sergeant asked me to come over, and I said, sorry, can you come over here? And I couldn't believe it. He came from behind his desk and came into the waiting room. So whenever he's doing that, I know I've got the upper hand. And all I said to him is, am I under arrest? He said, yeah. I said, what for? He said, well, you've been arrested under pace. I said, what's pace? And he said, well, it's the Police and Criminal Evidence Act. I went, right. I said, so it's a Criminal Evidence Act? He went, yeah. I said, so am I a criminal? And he said, well, we don't know that yet. I said, so I'm not a criminal. He says, well, we're going to establish that. I said, well, hang on a minute. Didn't your probable cause establish that? I've actually been arrested now, have I not? He said, yeah. I said, am I a criminal? He said, we don't know yet. So I said, am I free to go? He went, no. I said, are you detaining me? He said, yes. Sorry, but this is how the conversation went. I said, what are you detaining me for? He said, Police and Criminal Evidence Act. I said, am I a criminal? He said, no. I said, thank you very much, I'm going to get off now. He said, you can't. I said, why? He says, because you're under arrest. I said, what for? He says, pace. I said, am I a criminal? He said, no. So it went on, and eventually I walked out, and they let me walk out. So the only time I spoke is when I realised it's Police and Criminal Evidence Act. So it was like Punch and Judy, that wasn't it? Sorry about that, but that's how it went. And the number one thing is he didn't see any fear in my eyes. And every time I've been arrested, there is no fear. I don't have any fear because I know I can either shut up, not say a word, do me 2 or 3 days, get bailed, go to court, and try and head court off, or try and go in court and beat them. Or now, I will speak now. I used to be afraid of speaking and giving my name and stuff. I'm not bothered now because Rob Freeman, I didn't used to give him a name, but now they can call me Rob Freeman, they can call me Mr. Rob Freeman, I don't care, because the next time I get arrested, which I hope's not for another 25 zillion years, but I've got a feeling it might be sometime in the next couple of years, I'm not only going to use the criminal bit of the Police and Criminal Evidence Act, I'm not only going to exercise my rights to keep quiet, but I'm also going to use the trust relationship, because the policeman and woman are holding court at the side of the road, and what are they treating us as, and what are we acting like? Trustees again. They're public servants, they work for us, but what do? They step forward to administer policy and treat us like trustees, don't they? And we act like trustees, but no more. Side of the road next time. In fact, I think I mentioned this, I did this with 2 coppers. I was stood, I think it was in town again, some mad display or something, some silly acrobats or jugglers or something. A man and woman copper came over to me, started asking me some questions, and I said, sorry, I'm obliged to speak to you. And they said, well, no, not at this stage. And I said, well, thanks very much, I don't want to speak. It was nothing to do with me, I've not been doing anything. And they said, why don't you want to speak? I think they're only passing time of day. And I said, because it's a trust relationship, you're my trustees, you work for me, I haven't got time, and I don't particularly want to speak, and they just walked away. So I don't think they particularly understood it, the ins and outs, but they realised that I know my rights. So I thought I'd share that bit with you. So let's have a bit of a song on, and I'll frantically grab some more paper together or come up with something else. Yeah, so that's dealing with the police. I'm going to do this, and on the next talk I do, whenever that is, I'm going to get into more detail about this. And like I say, it's not a get out to commit crimes and whatever, challenge the police, but what it is, as we said before, if you do not cause any sort of harm to another living soul, you're not a criminal, are you? So in that respect, you're not accountable to anybody. I know a lot of the Freeman stuff, a lot of it was never cause harm, never cause loss, and never commit fraud in your contracts, but it's simple, because committing fraud in your contracts comes under harm, loss comes under harm, whether it's to someone's person or the possessions. So the greatest lesson of law that takes years and years and years for these barristers and everybody else, solicitors, I don't know, is it 9 years to be a top barrister or whatever? It's simple, there's 3 words, and you know the law inside out, and you're an expert, and all it is do no harm. That's it. That's the law. All these 1,000 million bloody statutes and law books, and it's simple. Do no harm, and you can never ever be arrested, or you can be arrested but you can never be convicted, and you can never be held accountable because you've done no harm. That is it. Our God or Creator gave us free dominion all over planet Earth to do as we please. No such word, is it? Please. To do as we please. Yeah, so, what am I going to do? I'm just looking in the chat room. Anybody got any questions? Oh, yeah, okay. Utility companies there. Philip, there, looking at utility companies. You're my favourite subject of mine, that, mate, isn't it, as you know? Electric companies do know it. You just need to ask them the right questions. What do they know? Sorry, I'm just what I'm doing is I'm running through the chat room just to see if I can pick up on anything. Anybody wants to know anything? Funny story about gas. Okay, all right. I'm waffling here because I'm just trying to see if anybody's got any interesting questions or anything. Oh yeah, future solution. An interesting thing with utilities: you are allowed your own meter fitted. You don't need theirs. Meters cost 10 quid certified. 10 quid? Future solution in the chat room. Have you bought a meter for 10 quid? Well, I think mine cost me 85 quid, mine. So you have to tell me where we're getting them from. That's cheap, isn't it? Yep. The statute offence is an unmetered supply. You can put your own meter on. Yeah, you can, future solution. I've done it myself. I've done it with gas and electric. I think I've been through this before, but all you do is British standard meters, put them in yourself, well not yourself, but get someone to put them in and sign off on a certificate, make sure they're safe, and then you can send off your own meter readings. I think I've explained it before. The gas and electric people, I'm onto this because it's in the chat room, so I might as well just mention it quickly. The gas, electric and water people that put meters in your property are not supplying you with anything. All they're doing is charging you for the privilege of it passing through their meter. The gas and electric comes from the National Grid. I think it's called National Grid still. Anyway, it's the main supplier. They supply the whole thing. And how National Grid make their money for supplying homes is that these companies, gas supposedly suppliers, Scottish this and Western that, all they do is they are subcontract. I almost put my teeth in. I always do this, don't I? Brain freeze. Subcontracted out. So they pay the money for a contract. So National Grid, Transco, whatever they're called, get paid for the contract by these people, and the contract is simply of putting their own meters in. And all it is numbers flicking up. They've got no idea how much you actually use. In fact, a friend of mine who used to work for some big supplier, he doesn't anymore, he got sacked. What did he get sacked for? He got sacked for, I can't remember, I think, believe it or not, he was a gas man who was selling chickens from his van. Well, that's another story anyway. He got sacked for selling chickens. Anyway, he told me that the big companies that put the meter in your property for gas and electric, the amount what we do is we pay for wastage. There's a massive amount wasted. Everything. That's why they give you an estimated bill. The numbers that clock up on their meters are not a true account of how much you are using per household anyway. But they're not bothered because they can charge you what they want. And what they do is, I think, did he say it's something as high as 27 or 33% of all energy that comes to your home is wasted. Gas and electric mainly I'm speaking of. And we pay for the wastage. And that's why you get an estimated bill. And that's why nobody in the hell really knows how much you are using. And all they've got is numbers clocked up on a meter. So it's a big scam like everything else. Excuse me. It's a big scam like everything else. Your bill that you're paying off is not a true reflection of your usage. And like I say, Transco have got no idea how much we are using. So, like I said, Future Solutions says it in the chat room. I've had my own meters installed, British Standard Safety, signed off, certificated, and every 3 months I send Transco my meter reading. And technically thinking about it now, I've learnt a little bit more. It means nothing to Transco, does it? They have got no idea from, I set it at 0 when I first installed it, and let's say for argument's sake it's, I don't know, 7,000 units. I send the meter reading off after 3 months. They haven't got the they haven't got a cat in hell's chance of knowing what 7,000 units on my meter or any meter actually means, have they? That's why they don't charge it themselves. They make the money by subcontracting. So, but what I did do, and Future Solution, it might interest you if you're doing it, and other people is, and I forgot to mention it a few weeks ago, all I did is I sent a simple notice off to the Energy Minister, I think it was. You can Google it and find out who's in charge. Just telling him what I were doing. I'm not happy with the so-called suppliers, although they're not suppliers. I realise that I'm being ripped off. They're not charging me, the subcontractors that is, they're not charging me a true reflection of what my usage is. I'm paying for wastage. All they're doing is clocking numbers on a meter. So I said to the Energy Minister, I'm going to put them in myself, the British Standard Safety, they'll be signed off, everything will be above board, and I'll send it to my main supplier. I asked them to write back to me if they disagree within, I think it was 14 days, and nobody ever did. So they've agreed by the silence, so nobody can do anything. So I keep sending these meter readings off to Transco, and they keep ignoring me. I'm not sure how long this has gone on for now. In fact, I've got a friend to do it a lot. He's been doing it a long time now. He's probably been doing it 18 months now for gas and electric. And he's had I'll tell you how many bills he's had in, I think, about 18 months. So if it's every quarter, how many bills would he have had? 6. Should have had about 6 bills, yeah, shall we say. I'm just going to add up how many bills he's had. Hang on, it's going to take me ages. He's had a grand total of bills back from the Transco National Grid of 0. 0. Total, no one's ever billed him. And the reason they can't bill him is because it's unlawful, because they don't know how much he's using. He's just basically, he's attached a box that's been signed off safely, and he sends them a set of figures. And Transco National Grid that supply everywhere haven't got a clue what to charge him, so they'd rather just keep quiet and not charge him. I think he sent his notice off to the Energy Minister as well. Yeah, so that's a bit about gas and electric. And again, it goes back to inherent rights, doesn't it? Back to inherent rights again. Why are we paying through the nose, folks? Why are old people dying of hypothermia because, you know, they can't keep the houses and the flats warm? Energy prices goes up every year, doesn't it? Every year. Everybody feels this biting winter cold. And nobody does anything about it. This is what really pisses me off. It's before 9 o'clock, so I shouldn't say that, but I do get pissed off. Everybody whinges. Not us lot, because we're here when we're doing it. We're doing it now, aren't we? We're here and doing stuff. We attend meetings and we get involved in this great radio station, Critical Mass Radio. But I think it's probably 95% now, but the other 99%, these sleepwalkers, they whinge, don't they? They whinge like much more than we ever do. And what do they do about things? They do nothing. They just acquiesce to everything, don't they? Yeah, so mini rant over there. Okay, so that were, I saw that in the chat room, so I thought I'd do a little bit about energy and stuff and paying stuff like that. But the whole process of, do you know, people said to me now, oh, Rob Freeman. Oh, because quite a lot of people know my name now, and they say, oh, that's that Rob Freeman, isn't it? And somebody might say, well, who's he? And you know what they say about me? I hate this. Oh, he's that bloke who gets away without paying anything. I think, shit. Sorry. I think, damn, I don't want to be known for that. It's like I'm a scam artist, isn't it? Although I probably am, really, but they deserve it, don't they? But I don't want to be just known for that, because I'm about a lot more different things than that. I only got onto this out of necessity about 4 or 5 years ago, but I was studying, researching things, you know, energies and how the pyramids were built and all sorts, lots and lots of different things, esoteric stuff and, bloody symbolism, the creation of money. I knew all that stuff years and years before I started doing this. But now all I'm ever known is, he's the chap who gets away without paying anything, he might be able to help us. And so, yeah, it's my own fault, and I'm not complaining, but I don't just want to be known for that, because I think I said it on the show, did I say it on the show last week or whatever? Everything's connected. The whole thing is connected. The non-payment of the bills thing is connected with 9/11, is connected with biometrics in school. Everything's connected. UFOs, building of the pyramids, fractional reserve banking, the modern medicine, how it treats the symptoms, not the cure. The whole thing, the whole spectrum is one massive round circle. And they're not paying off the bills. The financial side is one section of it, isn't it? But the reason I focus on that, like I said, was through necessity. And I think I was speaking to Lisa the other day I was speaking to Lisa the other day, and George, I think it was, our ref. And I said, I can't think of any other way of fighting back against them, because they've got everything so sewn up. But the most oppressive weapon they can use is money, because we can't make a move, can we, folks? Without it, we can't even feed ourselves, can we? And we'd be lucky to have a roof above our head, won't we, if we didn't have any money? So that's the thing that they love. That's the total enslavement, is money and the creation of it. So that's why I got into this. So, I'm known as the chap who gets away without paying anything. But it's not for a reason. It's not because I'm greedy. It's not because I want to be clever. It's because I know it's a scam. And like I say, all I've done is turn it back round on them, using their rules, using the trust stuff and many other things. I'm not fighting them anymore, and I'm not even disagreeing. If they say I owe something, all right then, let's not argue, because as soon as we argue, we have to go along to this building with these people with costumes on. But if we don't argue, and then we don't have to go to that building, we can sort it out between us amicably. I can't say that either. So, yeah, I might owe it, no problem. I tell you what, just send us a bit of proof that I owe it. And that can come in the form of a contract or an original bill, for instance. If you want to send me a bill for doing something, I owe you something, you're going to sign that bill, aren't you, with a live signature? You're not just going to send me a piece of paper or a photocopy, because it can come from anywhere, you're just going to sign it. So send me a bit of proof, send me a contract that we might have entered into, or send me a proper bill, not a statement or an invoice, that's not a bill, a proper bill with a live signature, which means that if it goes pear-shaped, whoever put the signature on is accountable. So send me a contract, or send me a bill, or if it's a loan, if you're saying you lent me some money, I'm going to come on to this fits nicely, because this is what I'm coming on to. If you are saying you've lent me £5,000, then no problem. Show me the original contract, send me a bill to say I owe it. And third thing, if this applies to loans or mortgages or credit cards, if you're saying I owe you £5,000, no problem. Just do us a favour, and this is all lawful, not legal. This is a lawful thing to do, to request, is just send me a copy of your accounting that shows that there was £5,000 in your bank account and it transferred over into mine. And they can't ever send those three things. Or if it's not a loan, it's the two things. And the reason they can't do it is because it's a massive fraud, and we're onto them, and they know we're onto them. And I've seen a change this last, I would say, 12 months. These people are shitting themselves. I've got a notice up, and I've mentioned it before, and I might go through that if I can find it, what it actually says. And all it basically is if anybody comes to my house without my express written consent first, I charge them £5,000. And we live in a world, and I think I've said this before, of pushing paper backwards and forwards to each other. That's their game. The more times they can push paper our way, pieces of paper, forms that we fill in or sign or anything, is every time we do that, we become more and more liable and agreeing to what they say. As we become more liable, we are taking on more and more demands, and so I'm going to try and run some sort of workshop on this. I think it's a good idea to do this, because if you're new to this, it sounds complicated, but it's not. It's the same system over and over again. It's so simple. You never fill their paperwork in, because have you noticed it has to be in black ink in their boxes? Well, for those, I know a lot of people do know, but black ink signifies that you're dead. And in the boxes it's called a four-corner rule. Anything inside four corners is a fiction, it doesn't exist. So this is why they want you to fill their forms in. So pushing paper backwards and forwards, the more times they hit us with paper, the more liable we become if we add anything to that paper. So all I do is, if you want to play a paper pushing game, I'll shove my own paper back towards you, and that's what I do. So in the form of a notice, so on my windows, I've not got a door on the street, on my windows, do not come on this freehold property unless I've given you written permission first, otherwise I'm going to charge you £5,000. And it's just a notice. It took me 30 seconds to knock it up, and so far I think I mentioned it before, I had a bailiff 2 years ago, and he ran off after he read it, and nobody dare come to my house. In fact, I've got two mates and my brother, and nobody else comes. Quite sad, lonely old man, aren't I? No, but it's quite empowering, and all it is a notice. And you don't have to put it up on your windows. If somebody's putting a demand on you, you can send them that notice. It's a denial, what is it? A denial of implied right of access. Sounds complicated. All you are denying, what it is your address, your house. Everybody in the whole world can walk up to your house and knock on it and ask you a question. They've got what's called an implied right of access, because nobody's telling them any different. So that's why people can knock on your door and try and sell you stuff and whatever they want to do. On my street, you'd have to come through a big gate, you see, and you still can't get to the door. But if you put a notice up in your window or your door, forget what neighbours think, the muppets, they're just going to sleepwalk into oblivion, your neighbours, aren't they? Forget about what they think. Put a notice up, and what you are doing is you're denying that implied right of access. You're just saying, hang on a minute, this is my house, whether you pay rent or free, or it's a freehold, or you've got a mortgage, or whatever it is, whatever situation you're in, you're living there, you're the peaceful inhabitant of that property. So all you're telling people is, hang on a minute, don't come up to my door unless I invite you. So you're back to your inherent rights again, aren't you? So the implied right of access that everyone's got, you're just taking it away from them. It's like a private party. You don't get people gate crashing your party, do you? So you don't want people coming to your house. And what they do is if they wander on by mistake or they knock at the door, in my case, you have to come to a big gate, down a general, and then approach some 6.5 foot gates. So all I say, if anybody does come, which they don't anymore now anyway, all I said to him is, have you seen the notice? And I think I had one chap say, yeah, but I didn't understand it. I said, well, go back and read it again then, mate. So he went back and read it again, and he didn't really understand it, but he understood the bit that you are liable to pay £5,000. He says, what does that mean? Come back. He couldn't get in anyway because he was behind some gates. He says, what does that mean? I said, well, what it means, mate, is if you don't go when I tell you to go, because I've not invited you, you know, I'll take your name and take you to court for 35 quid. It's going to cost you 5,000 quid. Not your company, you yourself. And he went, oh, all right then, and just went. So it's just simple. And the point I'm trying to make is that when I did the talk in Manchester, the most important word in the English language is just no. It's just a 2-letter word called no, that's it. No matter what demands they're saying on you, all you say is, show me some proof, give them a time limit on it, or if it's your house, don't come on my property. But all you're really saying is, if someone's putting a demand on you for money, it's usually for money, isn't it? All you're saying is prove it, give them a bit of time to do it. If they don't do it, they've agreed by their consent. So you just said no, that's it. Don't bother contacting him anymore. And that's it. But what I've learned to do now is ask them to prove it, give them a time limit. If they don't prove it, which they can't, because it's all fraudulent anyway, the whole thing's fraudulent, they can't prove it within the time limit. So what you do then is you tell them to stop bothering you, and what you do is, I'm going to do workshops on this, is you then, back to paper pushing, is you send your bill in again. So we've turned it round, and this is what I like about it. Instead of us being on the back foot all the time, I know people that are scared to move out of their house, scared to go out because they've missed mortgage payments, and they've had debt collectors knocking on the door they took a loan out, I don't know, 2008, just before 2008, when everything was going well, everything's crashed, and it and gone bloody tits up, and through no fault of their own, they may have lost their job, or they're on a lower income or something, and they're hiding, and they're fearful, and it's all about fear, and it's about pieces of paper being pushed our way, or people showing up to create that fear, so we just pay. So it's empowering, and this is what I want to do. All I've done is turned it back round using their system, and it has to work because they're still employing this system now, so all we do is turn it back round on them. I'm not looking for a different system. I'm not looking to really be clever or come up with some ingenious thing. I just look at what they do and think, well, bugger it, I'll just mirror it back because it's got to be working because they're doing it to us. So all I do is mirror it back, and I shove my paperwork towards them saying, you've not proved it, so now if you bother me anymore, that's my bill. Now, my time, I'm like a celebrity. It's for me to spend time on you, I say, to making a demand on me, it's going to cost you a lot of money, mate. So let's just charge, what do they charge? 150 quid, 200 quid an hour. It's called a schedule of fees, and what you're doing is you're telling them that if they bother you anymore, they've accepted your schedule of fees because they've proved nothing. Same way as if you get in a taxi, for instance, they inform you the schedule of fees is £2.70 a mile or whatever it is. You go to a solicitor, you have a chat with them, you might get free half an hour, but they'll say it's £150 an hour. They're telling you of the schedule of fees and what they're going to charge. Well, again, mirror it back. That's what we say to people. I now charge, what do I charge? I charge £500 for every letter that gets sent to me after the date they've not proved anything. It's £500 for a phone call or text message, £1,000 per letter. I can make it what I want. I can make it 10,000 quid if I want, but I keep it real because I can actually cash this in if I want. So somebody sends me a letter after the time limit's up and they've not proved anything, and I've informed them. I've sent them a fee schedule. They send me a letter. I immediately bill them for 1,000 quid. They get another letter. It's 2,000 quid, but I also add interest to it. What's interest? I don't know. 200 quid a week interest for late, and a late payment charge of £50 a week. So in the end, some muppet might be chasing me up for some bogus 500 quid that he thinks he's entitled to. But in the end, by the time he's ignored what I've done, he ends up owing me about 3.5 grand. So for his nice 500 quid that we're trying to get, he's now indebted to me for 3,500 quid. So how the hell can he ever take you to court? Because if he does take me to court successfully, I've done everything above board. I've done everything lawfully. This is their law. I've mirrored it back. A judge in court, all he really looks at is All he does is he keeps a set of accounts. That's why you are held accountable in court. That's all it is. It's a set of accounts. Who owes what? It's just commerce. It's just business. The judge looks. There's a claim there that you owe 500 quid, but he's got an equally valid claim. That there's £3,500 outstanding. So the person that took me to court to solve the matter would have to write me a cheque out for £3,000 for the difference. So that's why they never do it. And it's so simple. It sounds complicated. And I know Future Solution, I think it was, in the chat room, was on about, let's have a look. Yeah, you were on about templates. I don't like templates. I'll tell you why. Somebody asked me about this the other day on a text message. I don't like sending templates out. I could do it. I could knock them up on my computer on, is it Microsoft Word, and I could send them out. And a lot of people get a lot from them, but I don't want to send templates out because there's a process and it's a set of stages, and it's slightly different for different things. For instance, a bank loan would be slightly different to, let's have a look. A credit card and a bank loan would be different to, I don't know, a bill for electric, or a council tax bill, or a parking ticket. They all do follow the same process, but they're slightly different. Now, what you can't have is a template for all the different things, because you've got to learn the process, and all you've got to do is these people they're trained up, they're robotic, they're muppets really. They can't break out of their training, and they work to a schedule. Now, we take them by surprise when we do things out of character. They want us to react how they've been taught that we're going to react. So when we don't, they haven't got a clue what to do. So one template can't do, for instance, council tax and all the other things. Now, so people say, well, why don't you just send a template just for council tax? Well, you can't, because each individual council works slightly different as well. They try different things. They employ so-called bailiffs it varies from town to town, county to county. And these individual bailiffs might slightly do things differently. So one template would not take care of it all. So the idea is, and I'm going to definitely do either a sort of instructional video on YouTube. I had a friend today who came, he saw the talk that I did in Manchester, and he said, Rob, I've got an outbuilding where I live, and it's a lovely place. He said, Rob, I'm all right making films. He says, why don't we put a type of instructional video on YouTube with the whiteboard that you use, and just do it I think you have to do it into 15 or 20 minute sort of blocks. But there's no problem. It's not going to cost me anything, just a bit of time, I don't mind that. I love that. And maybe we could deal with each individual one. Maybe we could deal with bailiffs one time, loans another, council tax another. And it's a way of getting the information out and people to view it, isn't it? So I might take him up on that. And he's quite handy with the camera as well. So, in fact, if anybody involved with the station, if I do that, I might need a bit of help with editing and stuff, and putting the text on the video and stuff. I'm rubbish at stuff like that. So I don't know if somebody's willing to come forward. Just looking in the chat. Yeah, it's a good idea that, Lisa, isn't it? I think it is. Because we can only hold talks, can't we, once a month or something. And so something like that, you can click on it, but what you can do is you can save it or download it, and we can use it as like a training manual, and we can get some, and it does sound good, doesn't it, mate? We can use it as like a training manual, and what we can do is if somebody is struggling and they've tried it or they've adapted it to their particular thing, we'll get some feedback and we'll tweak it, and eventually we'll all do it. So if we all do it together, I'll stick it on YouTube. Perhaps through this show, email me and tell me what the sort of things you want. And I know bailiffs is an interesting one. I think somebody mentioned it earlier. And loans is a good one as well. But they do all work the same. So if anybody's new to this, I would say don't have a go at anything to do with your house, because if it goes tits up, you're out on your arse. You don't want that. Don't have a go at cars. It's pretty sewn up. Excuse me, I've got a bit of a cough. I must have a swig of water. Excuse me. Sorry, yeah. Don't have a go at your houses. Don't have a go at cars. What? He's got into me. Excuse me. Yeah, I'm back. Thank God for that. Right, okay, don't have a go at houses because you get kicked out. Don't have a go at cars because they've got that sewn up. But anybody who's watched the talk, a little bit further down the line, I've got houses sorted, and I think I'm touch wood, this is me touching wood. I think I've got cars sorted, so let's let that evolve a little bit and then see what you all think to that. Don't do council tax because they've got what's called primary legislation on their side. and they think they've got the law on their side. So don't do houses, cars and council tax. Now, apart from them, what are we left with? Well, don't do electric and gas because you don't want to be cut off until you know what you're doing. So that's quite a lot not to do, isn't it? So what can we do? Well, the easiest one to do out of anything is your water bill. Now, people say to me, I've just got a message there from Philip Makes Movies. I will help with the editing. Okay. Oh, thanks, Philip. Brilliant. Yeah, that's brilliant, mate. Yeah, I'll message you for that, Philip. Thanks when I get cracking on that and see what we can come up with. Cheers, pal. Yeah, so your water bill. You can never ever be cut off for water. In fact, they say it goes to court. I don't even think it ever goes to court, really. Declaration of Human Rights. You've got human rights. You must always have water. They can never cut you off. So, why are we paying for water? Well, people said to me, well, Rob, you're a knob. These people have got a company and they clean our water up, yeah, filling it full of fluoride and chemicals, yeah. They're cleaning our water up, aren't they? So why shouldn't you pay? Why should you have free water? And I look at them and I think, oh, you knob. Right, it's not me having free water. We all should have free water. So I say to them, I sit them down and say, right, why am I paying 200 quid or whatever it is for water? Well, they've had to treat it, haven't they? And they've got machines and workforce. I say, all right, brilliant. First of all, I give them a website that shows the profits that these people are making. Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of millions of pounds profit after everything's been paid out. Every year they're making it, even during from 2008 when everything supposedly have crashed. Severn Trent Water, or I think it was Thames Water or Thames Valley Water, and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of millions of pounds profit last year. So that negates that straight away. And then I say to people, well, where does water come from? Well, it comes from rain, doesn't it? Oh, okay, all right. And then where does that rain come? Well, it falls on ground, doesn't it? Well, it's free then, isn't it? Yeah, but they own the land, and then they treat the water and have to collect it all up. And say, hang on a minute, whoa. Backtrack a little bit. Who owns the land? Well, the water company owns the land. All right, do they? Yeah. Well, how did they get that land? Well, they must have bought it. Well, where did they get it from? Well, they bought it from some... No, I'll just tell you where they got the land. At some point, 200 years ago, 300 years ago, 400 years ago, that land was taken by conquest. It was taken away from someone. You can't own a piece of planet Earth. Nobody owns land. It's a concept. So they don't own the land. They don't own the water. They don't own the rain. It's free. All right, they might stick it in a plant, have a few people working, and stick a few chemicals in it. And so what then? Charge... How many of these, 70 million people in Britain, what's that? Perhaps, I don't know, 40 million households in Britain. 40 million households in Britain, let's charge us a quid. Charge us a quid a year for having our water, that's 40 million quid. I'm sure the whole of the water in in Britain, could all be cleaned up and supplied for 40 million. So, yeah, charge us a quid. So that's my standpoint from the argument. I don't pay parking fines, because where did they get the land? Whose land is it? Why are they charging me to go on that land? I've got free dominion to do whatever I want on planet Earth, so everybody, as long as we don't cause harm or loss, but it's just harm, innit? I've got a bit of a cough tonight. So I seem to be waffling on about all sorts here, don't I? So I'm sorry I'm jumping from topic to topic, but because I've not been able to get my guest on, I'm sort of flitting between stuff. So that's a bit about water, innit? So what was I saying? I was saying don't do houses, don't do cars, don't do council tax. If you want to have a go at electric and gas, be prepared to get cut off. I've since found out, I think I might have mentioned this before, if you do get cut off for gas and electric, which you never want to be cut off for electric, do you? But I got cut off for gas on purpose, so they took the meter out. But after 3 months, you are what's classed as shipperless. Which means that, I managed to get my gas bill up to 3,250 quid. And I was really disappointed because I didn't quite get it up to 4,000 quid. I wanted to get it as high as possible to push the boundaries out. Anyway, they tried everything to strike a deal and have a prepay meter, which I wouldn't have. And in the end, they were so gutted that they had to take my meter out and disconnect me. And I wanted them to take my meter out and disconnect me, because I knew that after 3 months, I become what's called shipperless. It means I've not had a supply for 3 months. If I owe 3,250 quid, which I did, or if I owe 30,000 quid, or if I owe the energy bandits, £3 million. After 3 months, I can then set up a new contract with a fresh company because I've been shipperless, and all the other people can do is chase me up for that debt and do nothing. But they tell you that you can never ever get your supply back on. It's a load of bollocks. I got this from a gas insider who told me all about it. Now obviously that's going to work with gas, but it's not going to work with electric. You can't go without electric for 3 months, can you? So the next best solution is sticking your own meters, isn't it, and getting them to take theirs back. Yeah, so it's a bit of a mishmash tonight of a show, but no problem. I've got some good info. Yeah, I've been asked to explain, and I'm going to do a little bit about loans, a little bit about bailiffs. Bailiffs? What's a bailiff? Sorry, bailiff. Church and court. Yeah, this is an interesting question. I don't know who posed this question, because I'm not very good at flicking from screen to screen. But somebody asked about what happens in a court. So I'm just reading a message at the same time. What happens in a court and why is it like a church? And yeah, I'll do a bit about court stuff, because as you know, I've been there loads of times. So, move this paper out of the way. What happens in court? Well, we go to a court, don't we? Or we think it's a court. And this is a topic all on its own that I could do a full talk on. But a lot of things are happening in court. We go to court, and we imagine the court to be the building, don't we? That's the building. It's a court building. We've got to go to court. It's not. It has a big coat of arms on it, doesn't it? And it might be called a court, but any group that sits in any sort of administration process, it can be 2 people from the chat room and myself sat down. We can be holding court. We can hold if we're making some sort of decision between us, like a tribunal, 3 of us. That is what the court is. The court is not the building where we think, where we go and think that's what it is. So straight away, there's a massive deception about what court is. So there's a lot happening in court. A lot of different things are happening in court. I can name 1, 2, 3, 4. About 4 different things are happening in court all at once that we don't know about. I'll tell you what's not happening is that justice is not being administered. That's what's not happening. There is no justice. That's why it's called summary judgment. Okay, so we'll briefly go into what a court is, or what we perceive it to be. So we get a letter and we get a summons, don't we? A summons is an invitation. I'm sure a lot of you are aware of this, but all a summons is an invitation to go to court. So straight away you're being invited. This is how they trick us. And you have to know a bit about the language of the law that they use called legalese. Anyway, I'm not going to go into too much detail on this because it'll go on forever, but you get an invite to go to court, or what you think is a court, and you go down there. I don't know, it's some sort of bill that you owe. But what happens in court is that it's magistrates' court, it doesn't matter whether it's county court or district judge. In fact, it doesn't matter whether it's a crown court or a criminal court or whatever. It's the same thing. There's a lot of things going off here. A court, as we know, or a lot of early Freeman stuff was that it was Admiralty law. So a court is a ship. Among many things, it's a ship. I can't go into all the birth certificate stuff and that because it'll take ages. But we're being ruled by maritime law, Admiralty maritime law. It's the law of the sea. That's where we get the word commerce. Any word with the letters MER. Merchant, commerce, mercantile, whatever means commerce, means business. It's MER means sea. So we're being ruled by maritime law, basically. So you go into court and they ask you to go into a dock. So it's a ship. I've abandoned ship in court many times when they've ran off. I've abandoned the ship. But like I say, this is the early Freeman stuff. So it's a good question. What somebody asked, is court a church? And very, very clever question, and yet it is. But it's also these other things as well. So first, it's not a court building like we say, it's just a name. Secondly, when you go in there, it's a ship. So we are subject to jurisdiction, maritime jurisdiction, commercial basically. So it's a ship. Now, another question, I'm going to say, well, giving town. Okay, I'll have a look at that in a sec. Thanks for that. Yeah, so it's a ship when you go in there. So what they do is, let's say magistrates, for instance, a magistrate, what they'll do is they might have a recess. First time you might go in, something happens, so they don't adjourn it, so you go in, you have a little bit of a hearing, and they go into the back room. Well, then they'll come back out again. they might have another little bit of a hearing, and they go into the back room again. They're only allowed to go into that back room twice. So in total, you could only be seen 3 times on that day. Now, that might mean nothing to most people. They think they're just having a recess to just have a chat. They're not. What happens is when you first walk into a court that you perceive to be a court, and you stand in the dock, that's why you do it originally. One of the first things you do is it's a ship, subject to maritime law. So I quickly realised this, but what I didn't realise, it took me quite a long time, is I get the better of them standing on my rights, and what they do is they decide to have a recess. Now what they do is they go back out again. When they come back out the second time, remember they're only allowed to do it in total 3 times. So when they come out the second time, it becomes a church. So it's progressed up from a ship to a church. Well, the best way to explain it is, first it's maritime law, then it's a type of, second one's like a type of statute, but it's still church. But the third time they come out, and final time, what they're doing is they're moving up a level each time. So you are subject, the third time they come out, and the final time, they've upped the ante, so to speak. If I'm getting the better of them, they'll recess, come back out, what they class as a higher jurisdiction. I get the better of them again, they'll go back out, and they'll come back out the third time to their highest jurisdiction, which is the top part of the church, basically. So it's a ship, it's Admiralty law, maritime law, it's also high statute law. Well, there is no high statute law, that's what they class as high statute law. Ultimately, it's a church. So why is it a church? Well, it sounds strange, doesn't it? Well, you have a clerk to the justices, or a clerk to the court. That's actually a cleric, that's clergy. It's going to be hard for you to actually take this in, but it's right. The original thing that was the ship, where the dock is, notice how the judges sit higher than us, don't they? Well, that's actually an altar. Now, everything to do with law and court is they throw paperwork our way, don't they? Well, it's not. The original form of any sort of law, if you trace it back 100,000 years ago, is verbal. It's speech. Law starts with speech. This is why they manipulate the words so much. It's not they want it on pieces of paper. Excuse me. They want it on pieces of paper. This is why we're flooded with paperwork. Why do they want it on pieces of paper? Remember the game of pushing it backwards and forwards, like I said. They cannot be liable if it's done on paper. So they never sign anything, and they want us to sign everything. The real basis of all law is verbal. It comes from God's law. That's why it was written down in the Bible. God's law, how can I explain? Right, okay, it's a church because as soon as they ask you to go to court, what do you go to? You go to a hearing. Right, they're listening, it's a hearing. But because it is a church, we are classed as sinners. That's why. When we go to court, we're actually sinners and they're going to hear our confession. That's all it's about. It's also about balancing the books. This is what I mean about the commercial admiralty law. So the first they try to get you on the easy bit, the first bit, where it's a ship, and most people fall down at that stage anyway. But then they come out a second time with slightly higher, and if you're really clever, or you think you're clever like I am, they'll come out with a third one. The third one's the ultimate penance. It's the ultimate confession to the ultimate bloody priest. So the judges are high priests. I know it's going to be hard for you to believe this, and I think some of them know, and some of them might not know. But they're high priests. Why are they high priests? Have you ever been to court? Have you ever seen a solicitor? What does he do? Your worship. And they bow, don't they? They bow down to him. It's a religion. It's all sorts, but it is a church. So you're a sinner going, and they're going to hear your confession. So they might call you a defendant. So straight away everything's got a negative connotation on it. You're a defendant. I have to go to court, and you're in a defensive position. Then what do? They make you plead. Well, pleading is a form of begging, isn't it? What they really are is that you are already guilty, which is why it's called summary judgment. You are already classed as a sinner with the stain of original sin. You go to court, you're a sinner anyway, or you have a solicitor to back you up, but what does your solicitor and their solicitor, or your barrister and the opposing barrister, they bow down to the same priest, don't they? So they're all in it together. They're all bowing down to your worship, which is a high priest. So this is why it's a church. So you can't win, can you? Because no matter which side of the coin, whether you're attacking or defending or whatever you're doing, if you're having representation, they're all bowing down to the same priest. They're all part of the same church. How can you ever do anything about it? You can't. So you're guilty straight away before you go in. And if you do have a solicitor, all he's going to do is cut you a deal, really. He's going to try and get you to... You are a sinner, you're going for your penance, and instead of having to say 1,000 Hail Marys, he might do a bit of chatting, be a bit clever, and you've only got to say 500 Hail Marys. He's got no way is he representing you, is he trying to get you off anything. So I'm going to go into more detail about why that's a church. It's a really spooky thing, it is, and it comes back from the Vatican. I forgot to tell you, it's also in court a trust meeting, and this is the middle one I was telling you about. Wow, it's complicated. See, a simple question like, is a court a church, can lead to this. You've got your Maritime Admiralty at first on your ship, but the whole three things are encompassed in each one. It's complicated, but there's all this going off. None of it's to give you justice. None of it's to administer justice. It's all to trick us. And if we get him wise to it, they'll move up a jurisdiction. The middle one is a trust. It's a trustees meeting. The judge or magistrate are administering the trust. The person that taking to court becomes a beneficiary, and we walk in as trustees, and we've got no rights whatsoever. That's why they can tell us what to do. So bear in mind, we walk in as a seafaring vessel with a birth certificate, so that's the shipping law. We've got no rights. Or we walk in as a trustee, and it becomes trust law, and we've got no rights. Or ultimately, we walk in as a sinner, and we do this anyway, in all the three stages. So always three in it, the unholy trinity. We walk into church as a sinner to be seen by the high priest, to plead and beg for him not to take too much action against us, and that's why the 97% of the time side against us. So yeah, that was a good question, that, and I think I'm going to do quite a long thing on this. In fact, that would be good with a whiteboard and some markers, because I've got loads of information. I'm trying to condense it. That's why I'm stuttering a little bit. I've got too much information on that. And I can show you how court works and exactly what it is. And it's all fictional. Every single bit of it is fictional. In fact, I've got one coming up in a few weeks, which I'm not looking forward to. But I'll sort it out, and I'll walk out. I'll walk in a Freeman, and I'll walk out exactly the same. Yeah, I've got some questions in the chat room here. It's a confession against satanic black nobility. Well done, Cat. Cat Love 23, absolutely brilliant. It's a ship with admirals and their officers. Cat Love from the chat room says, a floating satanic confession box stroke ship. Absolutely fantastic. I couldn't have put it better myself. And then she's put Baal, question mark, which is Baal, which is a deity, an evil deity, the devil people call it. Sorry, that's your religion, not mine. Absolutely brilliant, Cat. In fact, you can help me when I do my next talk, because you've got a better way of explaining than me. Yeah, it's all that. It is a confession. It's everything you said it is. And this is what I'm going to do on the talk. The priests are high priests of Saturn, the planet Saturn. I've got a lot of information about the planet Saturn. This is where we get the word Satan from, by the way. I might be going off topic, and I've not got an awful lot of time left, so I don't know if I've managed to pretty wing my way through this, really. What was I saying? Yeah, they are high priests of Saturn. Thanks for that, Cat. Everything you'll find out is, and I don't want to Baal equals Baal. Nice one, Philip. I don't want to spoil anyone's religion, but I'm going to do a full talk on this, and I'm going to have to do it at a proper talk on a whiteboard for a couple of hours, because everything in life is either sun worship, solar sun worship, or the planet Saturn worship, with a bit of moon goddess thrown in there. That's just a female expression, which is Christianity. It looks like I'm going off courts and churches, but I'm not. It's all part of it. It's all run by the Vatican anyway. Christianity is really sun worship, solar worship. Jesus is the sun. It's going to be a fascinating talk, because I've got loads of... This is the stuff I've been doing for a long, long time. Jesus' name, the name Jesus actually means yes, son. As in, Son of God, S-O-N, but it's actually the Son, S-U-N. The whole story, the whole myth of Jesus, and I don't want to spoil anybody's religious beliefs. My mum's a Catholic, a Roman Catholic, she's Italian. But the whole story about Jesus is it's a sun deity, it's a solar deity, sorry. And the same story can be told through Krishna, through Buddha, through Horus, or it's the same story regurgitated. It's all sun worship. But the other side of it is Saturn worship. It used to be called the Black Sun. Now, the Jewish faith, when the Jews go to church, they celebrate it on a Saturday, don't they? Which is Saturn's Day. Catholics, Christians do it on what day? A Sunday. I see Paul Oldham, alright mate, you alright? A big fan of Buddha? Yep, a lot of people are, mate. But what I want to tell you is that all religions are all virtually the same. They are a construct, and it's all astrology. It's all astrotheology, which I've learnt loads about. So everything is solar worship, and it's there in the symbolism for the corporation of everything, or Saturn, which is where we get the word Satan from. But yeah, you're quite right, Kat. I'm not going to harp on about this. Religion is potty. Yeah, you're right, mate. Somebody in the chat room says. So I'm running out of time, aren't I? I can't possibly run out of time when I didn't even have a show in the first place. So what I'm going to do is, I'm not going to have any more guests on. I'm going to have, obviously Magnus is going to come, because he's got some great stuff to say, and I've missed him tonight because I've got to know him quite well. But after Magnus has been on, I'm not going to have any guests for a few weeks, because if I pile all the information I've got on paper, I've got copies, by the way, so if all happens to me, it's all been taken care of. Anything on my computer and any ideas I've got have all been sent away on memory sticks and data recording devices. So if anything happens to me and I disappear, folks, don't worry, because 100 people will come forward and I've already got this information safely spread out. They'll never find it, and all they'll do is corroborate what I'm saying is true, so I'm not too worried. Yeah, so if I were to put all the information I've got on paper, it would be about 60 foot high. So I'm going to do that from, if Magnus, whenever I can get him on, but from next week I'm going to go into great details about bailiffs, about loans, about all this sort of stuff, and I'm going to do it slowly, and we're going to keep going over and over and over, and I'll get the YouTube set up. So eventually, thanks Paul, he's got me back, nice one Paul, and it's something we can all use, and I haven't got many talents, but one talent I have got is to simplify things. I'm just a fat lump from the council estate in Sheffield, and like I said before, if I can do it, I have no financial demands apart from my mortgage, which I back down on, which I tell people, but not for much longer, because I've worked a mortgage plan out that we can all do. A bit of work involved, we've got to get off his arse and do a bit of work, but it's quite rewarding. We'll grab his houses back and never have to pay again, and if you've ever been kicked out, we can claim it back off them. So you'll never have to pay your mortgage again, and I'll go into how we can do that. It's a complicated thing, but once you've got your head around it, it's a simple task to do once you get over the complication of understanding it, if that makes sense. So the hardest part about any of this is getting it through your noggin that it can be done. And once it's explained and you see it for what it is, it's simple. So we'll grab his houses back, we'll smash this mortgage industry to pieces, we'll grab his cars back, we will put our children in trusts and keep them safe from everything and everybody else. They are not our property, but they're part of us until they come to an age of maturity. We'll look after them until they can go out into the big wide world, so we'll put them in trust. They'll never be taken away. And I found a way where nothing can be taken off you. I found a way where you can't lose one possession. And it's a slight, I would say, it's a bit of a loophole that so far I don't know anybody who's been aware of this. I found a loophole recently, in fact about 8 days ago, that I can't see how anybody can ever take one item, whether it's a 50p biro off you or a £10,000 car, even if it is registered. Now I don't want to put this out yet because I want to experiment with it and make sure it works. But if I've got this right, and I always say this is my catchphrase now, if I've got this right, and I'm almost sure I have, but I will be sure soon, is that nobody, no matter how much you owe, can take one thing that you own. And if they do, you can charge them back, if I've got this right, between 3 or 6 times back whatever they take off you. But that's for the future anyway. So I'll close up and I'll go into all this stuff and I'll get this YouTube channel going. So I think Alex is on tonight for the Razor's Edge show. Yeah, he will be. So I'm going to knock off in about 5 minutes. So I didn't have a show there, and I hope you weren't bored because I seem to be waffling on about bollocks there, didn't I? But like I say, I'll have a proper show put together. I always have shows put together, and obviously I've struggled a bit this week. If I've got this right, Chuck, I like it, Philip. Just look in the chat room. Yeah, so let's close up because I've got to make way for our Alex. He's got the Razor's Edge show at 9 o'clock. And I have to disappear for about 8:45, you know, to get things set up. And I like Alex's show, I love it, so I'm going to hang around for that. So just before I finish off, about 5 minutes and I'll close up. Don't forget, tomorrow night, Scousers night, so lock up all your sheds and take your washing off the line, because we've got Lisa. She's on the Cry Freedom show at 7 o'clock. That show's really starting to take off, and it's really, really valid what she does with the badger stuff and everything. It's a different angle, and this is what we need. We were talking about this today. Mine's coming from the finance side, but there's all different angles, and this is how we're going to beat them. From hitting them like they've done to us, focused attention, we're going to hit them from every angle. The most one to get you free is the money side of it, but all the others are just as valid, if not more so. Yeah, Lisa, can I have my underpants back, please? Yeah, you've nicked them off my line. So, yeah, Scouts night tomorrow night. So, Lisa, Cry Freedom show, 7 while 9. And then our Rev's on. The Prisoner show, great show. He has great guests and he just does a fantastic job. Different angle again slightly, but brilliant. From 9 p.m. till 11 p.m. That's tomorrow. Is it tomorrow? Yep, it's all tomorrow. So, what time are you on? I've got 4 minutes left, which is lovely. No, I've got 6 minutes left, right. Before I finish off then, it's been a bit rushed and a bit gobbledygook, but never mind. People have said to me, Rob, you keep getting locked up. This is my friends and mainly my family. Rob, you keep getting locked up. You go along to court and you try and fight them and stand there on your rights. And you go face the judges and the barristers and your CPS are looking at you like you've just killed Kenny and they want to lock you up. And you're bringing all this trouble on yourself. And they said to me, why don't you just keep your head down and do as you're told? And if you can't afford something, just tell them you can't afford it and pay a little bit. And just do as you're told. And that's what a couple of friends and my family said to me. And what they said to me is, Rob, for everything you've had to do, is it worth it? And I look at them and I'll just say, it's nearly 9 o'clock, isn't it? I look at them and I think, twat, is it worth it? My answer every time is hell yeah. And I'll tell you why it's worth it, and I'm going to be quick. It's not just about me, is it? It's not just about me for what's in it for me at the moment or what I've got to suffer, is it? If I can find a way, I did it through necessity. Now, there's millions of people like me struggling, isn't there? If I can find a way that I can do it for myself, and I will not be told what to do on this planet. Nobody has the right to tell me what to do on this planet. I don't need telling them what to do, and neither do you listening, and neither do you in the chat room, neither does anybody. We don't need to be told what to do, especially by some ponce in a costume, flashing a badge. You can't tell me how to live my life. Why? Because I don't cause harm to anyone. I will never cause harm to anyone. I'll defend myself and my family and my property to the max where I won't cause harm. So why does anybody feel the need to come forward and tell me what to do? You know, many nights I've spent up till 3 and 4, 5 in the morning asleep doing research, and I'd bang my head on my monitor and wake up and spill my beer. Many times I've been in tears. I've been in tears at 3, 4 o'clock in the morning when kids are asleep, seeing what's happening in Gaza with Palestinians, or some child abuse case I'm looking at, or child stealing. You know, I have shed tears about it. And so people said to me, why, you know, is it worth it? That's what they're saying to me. And again, I'll say, yeah. Hell yeah, it is worth it. Because if we don't get off our arses, no one's ever going to do anything, are they? So yeah, is it worth it? I say yeah every single time. So what I'm getting at is, if we don't draw the line in the sand now, not next year, not next month, not next week, we've got to do it now, and we are doing it now. There's going to be shittier and shittier legislation being sneaked through. Another 2,500 bits of legislation have been sneaked in this year by those fat bastard bureaucrats in Brussels, nothing to do with our country. And what's going to happen is the sleeping masses are doing absolutely nothing. The legislation's coming through and through and through. We don't notice it. It's coming at the back door, yet we do. We notice it's coming in, but they don't. It's gathering momentum. Eventually, they're going to legislate us out of oblivion, really. And if we don't draw the line in the sand now, the legislation will be in place. Eventually, it's going to be illegal, which is a construct. It's going to be against the law to smile, fart, pick your nose, or do anything, because it's voluntary, and the masses are acquiescing to it. They are acquiescing themselves into voluntary genocide. It's a horrible note to finish on, and I don't want to put anyone down because I always finish on a positive. So that's what they're going to do. So we're not going to do it. The most powerful word in the English language is what? It's no. All we've got to do is say no. Do not consent. We do not consent. If it infringes on our rights or our children's rights or our friends and family's rights, fuck off. No. That's all we've got to do is say no and stand on his rights. So that's it. That's me. That's where I'm coming from. So is it worth it? I'll tell you every single time. Yeah, and when we're all old and we sat on the beach and we've beat them and we're swapping stories, we've got no teeth and no hair. If somebody goes back to us when we're in his 90s and they come up to me, Lisa, Paul, Pippa, everybody to with the station, we're all in his 90s and somebody comes up and says, was it worth it? Is it worth it? We'll just say, hell yeah, every single time. So thanks a lot for listening. Sorry it's been a bit of a hodgepodge of a show. So make a bit for our Alex. Is it worth it? I say hell yeah. So good night everyone. Thanks for listening. And I'm playing out with a song called Hell Yeah. Cheers. Good night. See you again. Thanks a lot. Bye bye.